Here we go. You ready? I'm gonna push the button. Well. We're back again. Good evening, y'all. Good looking folks. We're back again.
Wake up, everybody.
Come on in.
No more back to thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much.
The world's changing, y'all.
Used to be. There's so much hatred, war and poverty.
Well. Come on in.
Wake up all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. They're the ones who's coming up, and the world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach them the very best you can. The world won't get no better if we just let it be.
Come on in.
The world won't get no better. We gotta change it, yeah.
That's right.
You and me.
Just you and me. We have to change it. It's up to us.
Wake up all
It's up to us. So, welcome to Friday Night Love, where we mix old school music and new school music along with conversation on finding and keeping love. We want you to please join in with your questions and please give us your comments. And we like for you to like and share. Share is extremely important because there may be somebody out there that may be in need of this conversation, and they'll never know unless you tell them so. So, I'm Brotther Spear.
And I'm Dr. Heter, and tonight we're going to talk about this catastrophic virus, COVID-19. So we want to talk about the effect that it's having.
COVID-19?
Huh?
We got COVID-19?
Yeah,
Okay.
2019. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 2019.
Right.
That's right.
So we're going to talk about the effect that it's having on ourselves, our families, our communities, and our nation. But we also want to focus particularly on how it's affecting the African American community.
Okay, yeah, y'all. It's deep, it's real, and I want y'all to listen up because this show is an important show based on today's times. So, grab yourself a chair, pour yourself a glass of wine, and let's spend some time. Welcome to Friday Night Love. You can't do it alone, y'all.
need some help, y'all.
You can't do it alone. We need some help.
So shout out to Joseph, shout out to Levert.
Good to see you. Come on in. Need some help, y'all. It's a real deal, y'all. So, listen.
I want to talk about
This show, it says COVID-19. It's real. And the song says, "Wake up, everybody." So please, wake up, everybody. You know what? I'm going to back that up a little bit. Check it out. I want y'all to check out this song here. This is specially picked for today's session.
Yeah.
Wake up, all the doctors, make the old people well.
Wake up, y'all.
They're the ones who suffer and who catch all the hair.
Yeah, because the virus is affecting older people.
That's right.
Before their judgment day, so won't you make them happy before they pass away? Wake up all the builders, time to build a new land.
Time to build a new land.
I hope we could do
How you doing?
if we're all in the hand. The only thing we have to do is put it in our minds. Surely things will work out. They do it.
That's right. Things will work out because they do every time.
We got to wake up.
The world won't get no better if we just
Let it be.
The world won't
Get
get
no better.
better.
Woo!
Gotta change it.
You hear that?
Yeah.
You and me.
Yeah. All right.
I want to get that part part where he's saying, just wake up.
All right, just wake up, y'all.
Go to the end.
Change it, yeah. Change it. Do it alone.
Can't do it alone, y'all. Need some help, y'all.
No, can't do it alone. Can't do it alone.
Go to the part where at the end where he said, just wake up. Where he's screaming, wake up, wake up.
Wake up, y'all.
It's time to wake up.
You preachers,
Start preaching new ways.
stop preaching what you think. Taste the truth.
Teach the truth.
Wake up, preacher.
Y'all, we have to wake up.
Come on in, come on in.
Politicians, stop lying.
Stop lying.
Lion. Woo! Yeah.
Tell the truth. Wake up. This is the part.
Somebody help the whole people.
Help the world.
Yeah.
Wake
That's
up.
right, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on. We can do this. We can change. We can change yesterday, looking at today, to do a better job tomorrow.
Wake up. Wake up.
Come on, y'all. Check it out.
It don't matter what race, creed, or color.
Don't matter.
Right.
Everybody.
We need each other.
We need each other, y'all.
Wake up.
Come on.
See, we need wake up.
We need to wake up.
That's right, y'all. This is real. Sound the alarms. Ring the bell.
No more backwards thinking.
No more backward thinking.
No more backwards thinking. Let's think ahead.
Teach a new way.
Let's teach a new way.
They're the ones that suffer each and every day. Teach the children.
Teach children.
Teach the babies.
Teach the babies.
Teach the children. Teach the babies. Teach the
Come on, y'all.
Teach the babies. They're the one who's
We have to come back to that.
That's right,
End on
y'all.
that.
That's right. This that song. It's a powerful song.
Yeah.
It's a powerful song for today. So again, we're talking about the coronavirus.
Yeah, and how it's accepting us,
2019.
right? So the topic is, we're calling it love from a distance. So what are we learning? So that's the question. What are we learning? What is this teaching us? Okay? And so I'm just going to do a little statistics here, and then we'll go on. So right now the world has over 1,600,000 cases. Okay, it's worldwide, and it's interesting to watch this thing, right? Because you'll look at a statistic for one day, and then the next day it'll be like earlier today. When I looked at it earlier today, it was like 95,000 people who had died. Mm-hmm. Then a couple of hours later, it was over 100,000. So that's how fast it's going.
This is serious, y'all.
Yeah, and I think even one day this week, it's just mind-boggling. That one day, I think it was Wednesday, they had like 1,700 deaths, close to 1,800 deaths in one day.
In one day.
Right, so this is serious. So we want to talk about, what we're learning from it. So one of the things that I think is that it's teaching us how vulnerable we really are.
That's the reality.
Right.
You thought we thought we was on top of the world, and we thought we was
so
indestructible.
Yeah, and I'm just saying.
Really. Because some of the kids out there, and it seems like people aren't getting it because they're still walking without masks, and they're walking close, they're not getting it.
People are not getting it.
They think they're indestructible.
And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to really talk about it in the African American community, because I think a lot of people are not getting it. So one of the things I think we're learning is how vulnerable we are, and I think that particularly from a national standpoint or just from a global standpoint, y'all, this is real, right? And I don't think I hope a lot of us see it, but that this could really potentially mean that the world economy is crumbling. Right before our eyes.
Did you all hear that? Did you hear that? Say it one more time.
That the world economy, the global economy is on the verge of crumbling.
It's
This
really,
is really
it's
serious,
that serious,
right? And
that is, we went to what we have seen in the past,
right?
Because you've had these past dynasties, past moments where powers change.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe. I'm going to welcome Denise and I can't see this other one. Novak, thank y'all for joining.
Listen, welcome all into the studio with us, and hopefully you can sit back and enjoy the good music, but really listen to the topic. The topic is real. This is our community, and we're bringing information from us to
and
you.
So what we're doing tonight anyway, we're just kind of shifting because there's interpersonal love and then there's universal love.
Okay.
And so tonight we're going to speak more from a universal love standpoint, and so I just want to go back to from being a person who has done extensive study on African American studies in particular, but generally speaking, like knowing a whole lot about history and how empires have fallen. Probably the oldest empire that we know in the world is the Egyptian Empire.
That's right.
And that was a black empire, y'all, just so we can be clear. It was black folk who were at one point ruling the whole world.
That's right.
So you had the Egyptian Empire, that eventually crumbled. You had the Greco-Roman Empire, that crumbled. Europe was an empire. And you have Eastern empires, and eventually they fall, y'all.
That's right.
And so I'm saying we have to be it's really about us opening our eyes and being clear about what's going on. And, and I'm not saying not to be, because we do a lot of stuff on social media, and social media can be educational. It's a lot of information. But I'm saying we have got to look at how serious this is.
This is extremely serious.
Right.
And they're showing statistics now where our community is being hit the hardest.
Right.
And there are many reasons why, and we're getting to all that as the show continues. But because the question really is what's going on.
Right.
What's going on, y'all.
Yeah, but let me just finish this here. So, I think is what's important for us to understand, and generally everyday people, lay people, because we don't have a whole lot of control and power, but in groups we do, in numbers we do. But I don't think we realize the effect that some of the things that we're doing on the planet, how it's affecting the planet. There's the law, the divine law, that there's a cause and effect, and there's a lot of things that go on that we don't see and understand and know about.
That's right.
That's affecting the planet, and I just can't emphasize this enough that we absolutely cannot have the little regard that we have. A lot of things that we're doing that we're messing up the environment, the ecology, and a lot of things that's going on that people are making a big fuss about, in terms of global warming and stuff like that. I mean, I just
ozone, things like that.
Yeah, I just looked
even plastics.
Right.
That's why the first song we came on with said,
Wake up
everybody,
right,
and let's do things a different way.
Right.
Do things a different way. Take it here to your environment, not just yourself.
Right.
It's funny. We drive down the street and I see people throwing trash. I hate to say it's because it's kind of a tangent here to the left, but I see folks throwing trash out the window. I mean, really, y'all. Take heed and pay attention to the environment.
Right.
Because it's the reason, if you compile all of these things together, brings us here.
Right, exactly. But I'm just saying, just generally speaking, for people to be, for us, generally speaking, to be aware of what's going on globally. And for example, I just looked up the other day, I was looking up some information on the ozone, and they have just discovered a new big hole in the ozone that people aren't talking about. And there's a lot of dangers that can come as a result of that.
Sure.
So it's a whole lot of things. We talk about the electromagnetic frequency that's
right.
all over the planet. So
that's
all
right.
this energy all over the planet. You got the weapons of mass destruction. You got bioweapons. All kinds of things that's going to potentially have a catastrophic effect, because there's always, no matter what you do and put in the universe, there's always going to be an effect. And so we just have to be more on top of and pay attention to what's going on. And so if you do all these kinds of things, and people talk about prophecy. I'm just going to talk a little bit, then I'm going to stop.
Okay, I mean, if we're talking, if we want to get into scripture and all that, I'm not going to get into that.
I'm not doing that. I'm saying people talk about prophecy. I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm talking about that it doesn't take prophecy to see that if you put a big hole in the ozone, right, you create weapons of mass destruction. You put a whole bunch of frequencies all over the planet, all over the environment, that is going to have some kind of effect.
That's right. That's right.
And so, and then some of the things that we engage in, some of the behaviors, you're going to have some serious effects that's going to affect the planet.
Okay.
And so,
And that's the truth.
And coronavirus is probably the effect of some of the things that's going on that we can't see, that we don't know.
Well,
about.
that's right. It was created
Right.
in some way. But listen, today's show, I really would like to have participation.
Yeah.
So there's a phone number on the screen. So you're welcome to call in with your experiences, with your thoughts. We like to engage and respond. So we want to have a two-way conversation here. But it's real, y'all.
Yeah, I want to make sure this. Can move it down just to
Okay.
make sure that's
So,
moving. Okay.
Listen.
All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is
Okay.
black. What's going on with Black America. But we can start off with
Okay,
this.
because the question is, what's going on? What's going on today that we need to pay close attention to.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, listen. If you heard it once, you heard it twice from me, and I may say it 2 or 3 or 4 times tonight. Please pay close attention to everything that's going on around you, your family, your children, your finances, the government. Pay close attention.
Well, I just have a comment here from Stancer Young. He says we are a spiritual being having a human reality.
So. They say God, gave man, a dominion over the planet. But until we mess up to a certain level to where his people become in jeopardy, it's out of order. They say He'll come to balance it back out. But no doubt we're spiritual.
Well, that's the thing.
We're spiritual beings. Us. Right. Looking at you through this camera, and we're in this together, which is why we're having the show. But see,
the thing is, I just want to say something what you just said, right? Because it's like when I just talk about the cause and effect, right? So, we're human beings having this experience, and so it's not about something coming to get us. It's about what we creating ourselves.
No. You know what? Everybody's looking for a savior. Somebody come down and save this thing.
We got to save this ourselves because we're the ones making the mess.
You see, sometimes you have to sit back. Everybody's in the house. Mm-hmm. Let's come on in, which we're in, because the more we're out, the more we jeopardize ourselves, and we jeopardize our family and our generational bloodline. Look around and do a reset on some things.
Yeah, we have Abdullah.
Do a reset. Just again. Pay close attention to your environment. So let's enjoy.
So a shout out to Lawrence that joined. A shout out to Rick. A shout out to Sharif who's just joined us. Thank y'all. Welcome and thank you for coming in.
Listen, I'm glad you're spending some time with us. You can be doing anything, but you chose to be with us. So let's sit back and enjoy Friday Night Love. Got to find a way
to bring some love here today. Father, we don't need to escalate.
Yeah.
War is not the answer,
and this is
for only love can conquer hate.
We've got to find a way.
Talk to me so we can find out what's going on. Yeah. Say, talk to me.
Yeah. Right on.
know.
What's going on? Tell me what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on.
We need to have some conversation. Let's talk. So anyway, this here, of course, he was talking about a lot of the social conditions of the 70s that's still here.
Right.
So we're
right.
still having a lot of the issues.
That's why I thought this was a great piece to play along with what's happening now. You know.
And we have Christina. Welcome, Christina. And so he says, brother, there's far too many of you dying, and mother, there's far too many of you crying. And this here really, it's interesting that this is
here we are again.
Right, but this is the status of Black America, period. You know, and so we talk about since we've been in America, there was too many of us died too early, and so too many mothers and wives are crying, grieving over so much loss. And so looking at the stats for the coronavirus, I know some of y'all, many of us have probably heard some of the news this week, but we're dying disproportionately more than other groups. So what makes us more vulnerable? That's the question. And so I just wanted to give a couple of statistics here, because they talked, some of what has been happening is they hadn't been collecting race data. And so they had said they were going to start collecting that kind of data.
It's funny. They talked about that in New York, and once they announced that in New York, it came out.
Yeah.
It actually came. It was a whistleblower that came out.
I think it happened in Chicago.
Was it
in
Chicago? It was a whistleblower that talked. It was a doctor that talked about that, about the stats, about the disparity of death rate.
Right.
Who was dying more
right.
than others.
Right.
And now they requested that all states and all governors begin to send out that data as well.
Right. See, the problem is a lot of them wasn't collecting it. And so that's what happens when they're in a crisis, you're in a crunch. Who has time to be collecting data? If you really think about it.
Too.
So it's a whole lot going on. But when you admit somebody, it could be a question on the app. When the people come check into the hospital, there could be a question.
I'm sure it is.
Right. And so they were supposed to originally do it, and you have some lawyers now. And a group, and they said it's a group, a committee of 100 doctors and some lawyers, and a couple of the big politicians like Cory Booker and what was the black woman's name?
Okay, yep.
Yeah, that they now have joined the committee to say that they have to start collecting the data. But just for example, in Chicago, black people make up 32% of the population, but 67% of the deaths. And then in Louisiana, they make up 32% of the population, but 70% of the deaths.
Wow.
Come on, really? In Milwaukee County, they make up 26% of the population and 73% of the deaths.
Wow.
So,
right.
Right. So the question is, what is it that makes African Americans more vulnerable? Well, I think most of us know the answers to that, but I can go through.
Well, let's go through it.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes we have to hear some things.
Yeah.
And face some things, so.
Right, and so, for example, we know systemic and structural racism is primarily the cause of a lot of this, because more blacks are on the fringes of the society, and so when something happens, people who are more marginalized are going to be more affected.
Okay.
And so now, what puts us more on the fringes is basically our employment status, and so unemployment for black people in America, generally speaking, is always and has been double that of white America. But interestingly, what they don't talk about is that they can say that it's double that, but in a lot of cases it's triple and quadruple, and in some cities probably 50%. The employment rate probably reaches like 50%, because you have to count people who are looking for employment.
That's right.
So there's right,
and then you have a whole group that just don't report.
Right.
There's no documents.
Right.
So
they're just on the fringes.
They're just on the fringes.
And so a lot of people do independent work, under the table work, and stuff like that. But you have people who are not even looking for employment. And you have a disproportionate number of black men who are not even, and women who are not looking for employment.
That's right.
That means they're not even counted.
They're not in the data.
Right, as unemployed, as people that's in the unemployment data. So you have that. So if they're saying the unemployment rate is 4%, then it's probably double that would be 8% for us, but for real it might be like 20%. So like a quarter of the population might be unemployed at any time, or even some cities and some urban areas are like about probably up to 50% of people might be unemployed.
And now it's greater.
And then what's interesting to add to this is the number of people who have prison backgrounds and criminal backgrounds.
And they're out the system.
They're just completely on the fringes, on the edges. Not even, right, exactly.
That's right.
And then when we're employed, then a lot of us are employed in low wage jobs. So And so if we're employed in low wage jobs, so again, we're looking at why black people are more vulnerable. So if we're employed in more low wage jobs, then that means that's going to have implications for our living conditions, right?
That's right.
Right.
That's
And so a majority of black people live in urban areas, and so we lived in more crowded conditions, particularly people who live in housing projects.
Okay.
You have the prisons and the jails. People, so it's going to make social distancing much
That's
more
right.
difficult.
Oh,
Right. Okay.
I
So
hope y'all are listening to this.
right. Then you have low wage jobs means essential jobs right now. So that means now people who are doing most of the jobs are people who in those kind of positions, and they're in positions like food service, healthcare, public transportation, public transit jobs where they're interacting with a lot of people.
Right, so you're saying that these people with these low position jobs, they're the ones that have to go clean. They want
The ones that clean in the
They have
hospitals,
to take the bus.
clean it, right, and then that adds on top of it. But they had a report this week showing, but all these people on the bus. I'm like, is this
Right.
really
and
happening?
And they're shoulder to shoulder.
Right, and they're shoulder to shoulder on the bus. I mean, really, and so I mean, it's those kinds of things, and so they have to catch public transportation. Then you have, because you have lower wages. Now you also are less likely to have health insurance, right? So what does that mean? It means you're probably not getting preventive care, right? So that means your preventive care is in the emergency room.
That's right. Usually, by the time you get to the emergency room,
Right.
it's too late.
Okay, we have a thing here.
Okay, what do we have?
When things are good. Okay, we have here Levi. Oh, this is from Stancer. He said, when things are good, questions are never asked. This has gone on ever since we are spiritual beings, we should look for the spiritual solution. Exactly.
Okay, spiritual solution.
Right. Let's not deal with that right now. We'll come back to that. Let me get through this, and then we'll.
Okay. Well, listen,
engage
thank
again.
you. Keep on coming,
Right.
bringing the questions, bringing the
Right.
comments.
Because
Please,
right.
keep it coming.
Right. So, because the spiritual solution, okay, I don't even. Let me start go there too. I'm starting to want to respond to that. I will come back to that in a minute. But so if you have, if your health care is in the emergency room, right, then that means you have no preventive medicine. So by the time you get to the emergency room, you're probably past the point. So meaning that by the time if you had cancer that could have been prevented, by the time you're there, you're probably at the point where you're about dead, right?
Because black men don't usually do. I mean, I hate to say that. I mean, a lot of them do. Depends on
some of them don't.
But a lot of them don't have insurance. The younger ones at 18, 21, 28, 30, because they're just out in the market. It's just trying to get their footing in life.
Right.
And they don't do preventive care. And then by the time they go to the hospitals, because they're so the injury or the issue is such at a high level.
Right.
They just crash and burn.
Exactly. So so if you have diabetes, what are the three top? I think is like cancer. I think it's heart disease, cancer,
prostate, right,
and things related to strokes.
Right.
So hypertension. Right. So those are the three big ones. Right. So by the time a lot of people get to the hospital, by the time they get any care, it's too far gone. So now they're in a critical condition.
That's right.
So now they're saying that one of the reasons that black people are dying disproportionately is because they already had pre-existing health conditions, and the coronavirus it becomes more
exacerbated.
Right. So now you have all these conditions that's now exacerbated with the coronavirus, and this is why a lot of the older people are not making it. So
when this is all said and done, because it will be all said and done at some point.
Yeah.
Please, those
hopefully it won't be
those that have feelings about their tomorrow, please get with a general physician and get checked out.
It sounds good, all that sounds good, but a lot of people don't have health care. That's the problem.
Well, we can do that. Okay, that's a whole nother story.
Okay. So wait a minute. So
how you doing, Levi? Good to see you again, my brother.
Okay.
Right.
So anyway, so you have these issues, and then the other things like lung disease. That's one of the big ones too.
Right.
So if you already have asthma comes. A lot of that has to do with the environmental racism. So in a lot of our in a lot of our communities, there's environmental racism, meaning there are a lot of environmental hazards that are put in our communities. Like, for example, I used to teach that in my class. And in some communities, you have more landfills, you have more of the cell towers. I went to visit, I don't even want to say because they could be listening, but like some of the communities where like the black people in some of the project areas, but like project areas.
Right.
You see all the cell towers around in some of those communities, and that's where you have a lot of that radiation. So it's a whole lot of environmental factors that contributes to, and so now you have lung disease, all these different diseases, and then by the time you get the a virus like this, it just takes you out.
Right, because it exacerbates what's already here.
Right.
Right, that's what they say. It's a flu-like symptom, but it aggravates whatever what you already have, right? What you're already holding, right, as an ailment, right, inside, right? You know,
right. And then of course it depends on how they prioritize in healthcare. So you go to some emergency rooms. We already know what that looks like in some of our urban communities. And then I just want to emphasize one thing, though, that I think that's really interesting. Though I really thought it was interesting how the Surgeon General, and that, who's a young black man, James, I think it was James Adams, and he's 45 years of age, right? And he looks like, to me, he looks very, very young, right? But it was so interesting to me to hear somebody that looks as young as he looks. He looks so young, right? That to have heart disease, asthma, and he's pre-diabetic at 45 years of age. So that really kind of speaks to like what of our, how Mark, he said it speaks to his childhood in poverty, and so it really, it's just.
He worked his way up through the ranks.
He
to
did
become
good.
Who
He's
he
a
is
Surgeon
now.
General,
And with the presidential.
Yeah, he's a Surgeon General. Right. I mean, like serious. But anyway, you can go on and make a break forward too.
Anyhow. Brother said earlier about spiritual guidance, spiritual help, spiritual support, spiritual grounding, and spiritual help to get us through difficult times. Mm-hmm. There's no question about magic can happen. It can. Synergy can happen. Vibration of power comes in a collaboration, a collection of people. So check this out.
But he said something about solutions, so I want to speak to that in a minute.
But magic does happen. Mm-hmm. If you're willing to put the work in to make it happen. So you have to cultivate.
Just to lighten it a little bit.
Neighborhood where we live.
No matter what kind of gift or what kind of ring you give, just don't take it for granted. And then you know every day that a love unconditionally is coming my way. 'Cause even when the world is falling apart all around us,
World's falling apart all around us. So y'all listen. You're gonna have to use love, the magic of love, all those things, man. Build the power in your house.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So he said here, Novak says, Stancer says, we already know what the problems are. What are the solutions? So, when we first started opening the conversation up, I was talking about us really paying attention. That's one of the things, is being more aware of what's going on. We know a lot of the problems that black people have are systemic, right, and it's structural.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And we've been undergoing this has been ongoing since we've been on this soil, at least in the American experience. But when you talk about it from a spiritual standpoint, I think really a lot of it boils down to just the deception that's going on. When we first opened this up, and he says, all the preachers just tell the truth,
right? Tell
the truth, and so a lot of it is that we're living in ignorance, and a lot of it just has a lot to do with ignorance. I just have to put that out there. We're not paying attention. We're on the wrong stuff. one of the things I had wanted to emphasize was that, we talk about all these things that's going on with Black people, but, a lot of it has to do with our own behaviors. You see what I'm saying? It's systemic, but, and ignorance is a part of the kind of behaviors that we engage in. But, let me just give you an example. When this, this thing started getting to a certain place, so we started paying attention. I went to the store a few times. I had, I'm masked up now with gloves on, and I'm walking around the store like running down the aisle, trying to hurry up and get what I had to get out, because I'm seeing that a lot of us were not absolutely walking through the stores as if nothing was going on. I'm like, this is unbelievable to me. Right, and I think a lot of it is because we're not paying attention.
We're not paying attention.
We're not paying attention.
That's right.
That's what we opened this up in the beginning. We have to pay attention and be more aware. Yeah. And the other thing is, a lot of the problems that Black people experience, particularly from a health standpoint, is again back to behaviors. We eat badly. A lot of our diseases are genetic, but we also eat badly. So when you have genetic things that are passed down, you have to manage the genetics.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Right. And so I'm saying a lot of us eat badly, and so now by the time you're 30, by the time, what's going to happen now, a lot of people, young people who were on French fries and some of the bad food from the beginning, by the time they're 35, they're going to have heart disease.
But I'll tell you something. By everybody coming home now and being in the house and they can't go out, you'd be surprised how people might get a chance to look inside themselves and change their ways.
Right.
Change their ways. Not only will it save you money, but also will change your health. Right,
but that's what I'm saying. So I just have to say this. I'm going to say it, because we can go online. We can find anything we want to find when it comes to, because the information now is available. It's out there. At one point, we didn't have information that was there. We didn't have information, access to information. But now, if you want to eat better, just go online and figure out how to do it. There's a lot of things that we can do ourselves. So a lot of it has to do with our own behaviors and paying attention. We're on the wrong stuff. That's what I have to say.
And that's
a lot of us, we're just on the wrong stuff.
That's
we're on materialism. We're on a lot of superficial things on the social media.
And we need to read more material. We need to read better material.
Right.
We need to read material that's about us and our origins and our ancestors, to find out truly who we truly are.
Right, exactly.
You can walk around and say, I'm a king, or you walk around and say, she's my queen, but what does that really mean? What does that look like?
Right.
What does it look like? Look like some white guy with a crown on his head? Sorry to say that.
Right.
No, man, that's not what it looks like. That's not what it is.
Right.
Know your divine self.
Right. And so he talks about, spiritual. Spiritual means when you talk about it from a spiritual standpoint, probably one of the most significant universal laws you can learn, and that is the law of cause and effect, which really means you reap what you sow. You can't emphasize that enough. You reap what you sow. If you eat bad food, you're gonna have bad health. If you make bad choices, you're gonna have bad outcomes. It's just that simple. You pick the wrong partner, because you're on the wrong stuff.
It's gonna be a consistent challenge.
Right, exactly. So you're just gonna have, and so so that's what when you're talking about from a spiritual standpoint, that's probably one of the most significant things that you can know. From that particular law right there is the most significant divine law you can know, and that is to know the law of cause and effect. That you reap what you sow. Period.
Cause and effect. Right. Law of attraction. Law of attraction is a positive mechanism, and it's also a negative mechanism.
Right.
It has both sides to it.
So I think that's a spiritual solution.
But you have to be aware. You have to be conscious. You have to be willing to make a change. You have to say, you know what? I am sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
What is it that I can do? What is it that we can do to make a difference?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something else. Have you gotten to the part of our children and raising our children?
No, we're going to do that next.
Okay,
right.
Because we really have to look in the mirror and say, I am tired.
Right.
And there is a better way, because we can make a difference.
So Hosea says, 4 to 6 of my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because they have rejected my knowledge. I will also reject thee. So I don't know if what you mean, but I don't think
that's it's a biblical scripture.
Okay.
But it's kind of a metaphor.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Metaphoric statement.
Right, but I don't think the all loving divine Creator is going to reject any of us. I think
he won't.
I think it's really
we
about
reject ourselves.
Exactly.
It's us doing it to
right.
ourselves.
It's reaping what you sow.
That's
right. Because if we lack knowledge, and there's reasons why we lack knowledge, right? But Because that, there's been a bit like Malcolm X used to say, we've been hoodwinked. There's a whole lot of stuff that has hoodwinked us because we on a whole lot of stuff that's really one big false illusion.
That's right.
Right,
it's all an illusion.
It's all an illusion,
That's
basically.
Right.
And so those are the things when we talk about divine law and understand it from a spiritual standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So once we get when we get clear about some of those things, then that can help us get on the right path. But the first thing starts with self-knowledge, and it starts with knowledge and paying it. First thing just starts with paying attention.
That's right.
That's
right.
Just pay attention.
That's right. Pay attention. Pay attention
Right.
to all,
And look at everything
outside of you.
Right.
See, everybody's so caught up in themselves.
Right.
Because the human experience is a beautiful thing. But pay attention to all that's around, that encompasses
Right.
around you.
Right. And realize this stuff ain't what we think it is.
What you do is you look outside and you say, I got a beautiful fly car, but yet your child, man, you have not helping your child with child support. It's just a whole bunch of parts of that. You're talking about how fly your clothes and look at your beautiful shoes, but your child don't have no food on the table.
Right.
Come on, man.
Right.
Come on. Really?
Okay.
Okay, so forevermore is where we're going with this. So let's just check this out because we want to do better.
Now we can lighten it up and try to.
Yeah, we want to do better as a community.
Who's this?
We're back again. Forever, ever, forever, ever. Do a better job forevermore. Give me some likes, y'all. Some likes and some loves so we can send it up. Give me some likes and some loves so we can send it all the way up. A lot of information, huh? Forevermore,
What
y'all.
is he saying? Oh, okay.
What he's saying is forevermore, which means if we all get together and we do all the right things, he'll shine, she'll shine, and you'll all shine forevermore.
Okay.
Good decisions.
Right.
Good decisions binds good relationship.
Yeah.
It yields and grows beautiful children. Mm-hmm. Forevermore, man. Let's do the right things, man. Forevermore, not just for the moment. Do it forevermore.
Right. So we're still talking about what are we learning. So we've learned, how, this thing is, talked about how the culture itself, how, I forgot what I said.
That's okay.
Yes, we talked about how, we talked about how empires eventually fall. We kind of talked about that we have to look at the history because the history is telling in and of itself.
Right. The history is just
telling in and of itself.
Just always repeats itself.
Right. Yeah.
At
civilizations have risen
times.
and they have fallen, and so we have to be real clear.
Because I want you to just check this out. We are dealing with this is a live organism that's flying through the air from person to person to person. That's powerful. It's invisible, but more powerful than man himself. The greatest power of all. You got this little invisible mechanism that's
taking us out. Right.
They say that the jolly giant that can take and rule the world isn't the one you can see. It's invisible. And it's literally shut the world down.
Right.
Not just your community, not just your subdivision.
Right.
This little invisible thing has shut the world down.
Right.
So I suggest you all literally look in each other's eyes, look around, pay attention, and do a reset.
Right.
Because things will come out, and it's going to come out differently. It's not going to be the same. You're not going to be able to do the same things, act the same way, or even get the same rewards, or the repercussions will be different.
Right.
The repercussions after tomorrow will be more severe than what they were yesterday.
Yeah. So hopefully you can catch this thing before the whole thing collapses. Because it's just as serious. But so what are we learning? One of the things we're learning we can't take each other for granted.
That's
okay,
right.
and so we're learning what's important. Who's
boy.
important.
Oh, that and I had a camera on you.
Oh,
Okay, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so
But
that's
come
why
on.
I'm saying this one. Okay, so we learning, that we can't take each other for granted. We have to know what's important.
Well, look at all the writing.
Huh? Oh my God! See, I'm saying I can't see it because.
Okay. What does it say?
It must be my book, The Untold Story. Oh my God.
Here it is right here. You must read my book,
Okay. Oh,
The Untold Story. What beauty.
Industry. Hopefully, okay, we'll find out.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So that means we can't take anybody for granted, because people can be here and go on tomorrow, and this is how fast this is happening, right? And then what's interesting, I went online and I was looking up some. I'm looking up some stories, and so people. But one of the things they say that people are starting to do now is they're starting to confess their love, and so people out here playing, you playing now you realize, okay, we just need to go on and do this thing,
right?
Lock it on
Just
down,
keep it real, y'all.
right? Keep it real.
Stop playing.
Right.
Take your life and those that you decide to spend time with, take their life serious as well.
Right, in your life.
You have to be serious. The game's over. Time to grow up.
Right.
We have to grow up.
Right.
Stop acting like boys. Stop acting like little girls. Stop all the battles and challenges.
Right.
Communicate properly.
Right. So and so then the next thing we want to talk about, what are we learning about our children, right? Okay. And so interestingly, I just wanted to make some comments about, I know people are online, they're making fun of it and making, jokes and everything, but I'm thinking for a lot of parents it's not joking, right? But they were, we had a lot of people, people coming on Facebook saying, which is funny, right? But they're talking about how they didn't realize how bad their kids were, or how badly they're doing in school.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
You all didn't know what your kids were doing, but you know now what they're doing.
Exactly. And so that's one of the things that is done is make people get to know their kids.
But remember, your
Right.
children are really a direct reflection of
you. Right.
It's of you. Your child. If your child's acting up, that means you've been acting up.
Right.
So keep it real.
Right. And some of the things to me, is that like some of the things that I see how this, whatever you call this parenting people are doing now, that it's some of the things that these children, letting these children get away with, to me, is unconscionable. Like in the generation that raised us, they would just, your mouth would just be open. My mouth is open quite often, actually, in terms of, you ask the parent, well, why the kids aren't doing certain, they're having problems with kids. Well, you know how these kids are. And I'm like, well, what? You raised the kids. You raised them? Right. And so now, now you're in school. Now you have to homeschool your kids. Now you see what's going on with your kids in terms of education, in terms of their education.
Well, I wonder how this is going to look when this is all said and done.
Right.
Because I don't know if these kids are ever going to go back to school.
Yeah, they will. The parents are going to make sure of that because they're going to make sure that's going to happen.
You know
because
why?
It's too hard.
Because the kids have taken the budget totally out of whack.
Well, that's one reason.
Because they're eating the parents out of house and home, running rampant, and then they got to teach them.
Right, and so that was the thing. So people are talking about the challenges they have with their kids, and they realize that their kids now where they are in terms of educationally, and some of them, I'm sure, are having challenges getting their kids to do the work, which is what teachers probably were dealing with. Right. And then they're talking about how they're going to. How they're going to, apologize to the teachers. It's like, the teacher had to deal with your child plus 40 or 50 or 100 of somebody else's children doing the same thing,
It's so funny. The parent never shows up at the school meetings.
Right.
The parent never shows up, man, to the one-on-one to talk to the teacher about what's going on with the child. You got to show up now.
Right. And so that's the thing. And so now they realize now you have to deal with your own child. Cause and effect. This is what you created. So now you got to deal with it. So you're getting a chance to see what other people are doing with your children. But there's another side to that, too. And the other side to me is that a lot of the children are a reflection of the parents. And so, I remember when I had a moment where I was trying to do the substitute teaching thing. And, I'm telling you, when I tell you it was the most profound experience I've ever had, I can't even begin to talk about how profound that experience was for me, looking at those kids and looking at them kids and seeing, oh, my God, that they were calling the bad kids, right? And I was like, I have so much respect for the kids because the kids were really trying. I could see the parents. You can see the parents on the kids. You can see the stress. You can see the anxiety. A lot of what they're calling problems with kids is just anxiety and stress from their parents.
That's right.
And it's also anxiety and stress that they're having from these kids they're calling ADD and ADHD and all that. A lot of it's what's going on in their households. And so And then it's all the EMF, the electromagnetic frequencies in the air stuff. People ain't even looking at how that's affecting us energetically.
Big time. Wait a minute, it gets
how it's
worse.
affecting our anxiety, our mental
right.
health, all the stuff, the frequencies that's over the planet.
We see online, we see on Facebook all the time. We also see some of you see in your own homes how a child is 5 months and you have a problem taking your cell phone away from your child. Your child goes through tantrums when you take the cell phone away from them.
Well, it shows what but you know what it shows? Because it has the same effect on us too. So it shows the pull, the magnetic pull.
Right.
Because they like it. It's
right.
It's the lights. It's and all that and everything. But that's the adults. You can't. People on dates.
Child should not be under the spell of the cell phone.
Well, how the child not going to be when the parents are under the spell? That's what I'm saying. The parents are under the spell.
That's why I'm saying the parents got to look in the mirror. Everybody has to really, truly look in the mirror.
So if they're under the
themselves.
spell, then the kids are going to be under the spell. They're more vulnerable, more impressionable. So I mean, most of us we're under the spell of all this stuff. And so I think what this thing is doing is snapping us from out of the spell.
That's what it's doing. That's what I'm saying. Look beyond yesterday and look at today, and literally look inside yourself and look inside your home. Look at your wife. Look at your girlfriend. Look at your family, whatever it is. Take a good look at it and look at the way you all have been acting and reacting, and just make a difference. Change some things.
Right. And we talked about that last week, but, really just, spending some time doing the inner work and doing what, inside your house with your kids, with your spouse or your partner. So it's about a lot of inner work. So I really do. I think it's something that's trying to snap us out of it. Really, basically, those things happen.
And they do happen. And sometimes the universe does have a way of resetting humanity.
Right.
Sometimes we could think it's coronavirus, or we can think that it's a man-made, or we could think anything. We could think of all types of conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But it could just be the fact that the universe is saying, listen, everybody, go back home and take a look in the mirror.
Well, see, the thing
time for a reset.
Well, see, the thing is, no matter what happens, everything is spiritual.
Right, everything's spiritual. That's
everything
right.
is spiritual.
That's right.
Because everything is connected to the universe.
Everything's connected.
Right, everything's spiritual. So regardless of how it came about, and the fact that we probably more than likely caused it because of some of the things that we're doing. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, it's now making us have to take a reset and see what happens is the planet is going to regenerate and clean up itself regardless of whatever we do and regardless of how catastrophic it is for us. Because it's following divine laws, right?
That's right.
And so we have divine laws that we have to follow. If we don't follow them, then it's just going to kick our behinds, and that's exactly what happens.
See, what you just said. She just said, "Okay, y'all, listen. This is Dr. Ra that's speaking to you." And she said, "There's no question about the divine law is real, and divine law is more control of this than you could ever imagine.
Exactly.
Divine law will knock you down and lift you back up,
right.
But it'll lift you back up at a better place.
Hopefully,
if you're paying attention,
right? Well, if you're paying attention, if it doesn't take you out, and it's taking people out, you see what I'm saying?
It's taking people out.
It's taking us out, and that's why this is so serious. It's so real, serious that we have to really pay attention.
Well, let me tell you something. The generation that we have now, the babies, they're faster, they're quicker, and they're very special, and that's the future of us,
right?
So if we don't take care of them, we got nothing. So we have to save the babies, y'all. That's the bottom line. The babies, man. Save the children, man. Do a better job with the children. Do a better job with the babies.
Save the world in despair. Who really cares?
Save the children, y'all.
Save the world in despair.
Save the children.
There'll come a time.
Here we are. Here we are.
When the world won't be singing.
Here we are.
When the world
won't be singing.
Won't be singing. Flowers.
Here we are.
Flowers won't grow.
Here we are.
Bells won't be ringing.
Bells won't be ringing.
Here we are.
Who really cares? Who really cares?
Now we're gonna find out who really cares.
Who's willing to try? Who is willing to try?
And now we're gonna see who's willing to try.
To save the world. To save the world.
And saving the world is one by one.
That is destined.
Hopefully he's not gonna die.
To die.
Hopefully not.
When I look at the world. When I look at the world. It fills me with sorrow. It fills me with sorrow.
Little children today.
That's right, y'all. That's right. Listen to this. Listen.
Are they gonna suffer tomorrow?
Listen.
Yeah.
It's all
Because
by
of
our
our
hands.
decisions.
It's our decisions. It's our choices we've been making.
Right.
Oh, what a shame.
What a shame.
What a shame, y'all. What a shame. Oh, you all. What a shame. Such a bad way to live. Come on, y'all. We can do a better job. If we're of divine spirit, divine soul, divine purpose, do a better job.
We can't stop
When
living.
we can't stop living.
We're so stuck in living, we're not paying attention to today, here, and right now.
Right.
Live for life.
But let live, everybody.
Live life for the children.
Live life for the children. Oh, for the children.
See, let's save the children. Let's save all the children.
Save the babies. Save the babies.
Save the babies, y'all. That's right. So,
And so,
That's where we are.
hearing Marvin Gaye's stuff, I mean, his stuff was so apropos.
it's real.
And it's still apropos even today. And so now and it's prophetic.
It's prophetic. And here
Right,
we are
so-
playing this, and it's still relevant
It's still relevant
to today.
to today. Right, exactly. And so, and other thing too, again about the children, I was just talking about how they, that a lot of the children are what's going on with the parents, which is real. And also, it's going to be interesting to see what this is going to do after they pick, we pick school back up, because we have a lot of black kids who are really part of the digital
Digital divide.
the digital divide,
That's
meaning
right.
that they're on the, they don't have the technology that they need to be able to get through school from home.
Because everything's online now.
Right, and everything's online, so
And-
it's just going to
right.
be interesting to see how this plays out.
It sure is, because I think I got some information from an active teacher, and the word came down through the government. No one fails this year.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, she said they can't fail the kids, and they'd be crazy too. But then I just talked to a kid's mom today, and she was saying they talking about holding the kids feeling that some of them might not go pass, and she's worried about her child. So. Right, and I'm like, they just can't do that. They just can't hold these kids back.
Right, the digital divide is real.
Right,
Because not all of us have the
the kids don't
economics,
have
man,
the.
to have
And
laptops
then she was
and
saying
computers.
that she was saying in the. I don't know if it's true, but she was saying that, I don't want to say what school system, that they only gave it to certain kids, like certain grades, 11th to 12th graders, and then some younger kids, and her kid was in the middle space, and they didn't get the computers. So, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that a lot of our communities are up against.
And that's why the parents that got these $2,000 or $1,500 iPhones, but yet don't have a laptop, man, for your child to do lessons on.
Yeah,
You need to
stuff
look
like
at that.
Right.
Look at all those things.
Right. And so I think we are learning a lot, so we're learning who our children are. We're learning some of the other things that I talked about. We can't take each other for granted. And then I think we're also learning how to be more resourceful. Okay. And if not, and more adaptable. And if not, we have to.
Right, we have to.
We
y'all.
have to. And so just little things like I just want.
That's right, because I'm gonna after this is all over with, you'll learn now. There's an understanding about economic foundation or grounding, and that is, it's not about how much money you can spend; it's about how much you can save.
Right.
So let's, as of now, look at cutting the edges and looking at saving, because you just don't know what tomorrow has to hold.
Oh, exactly.
You don't, because right now we're one paycheck, 2 paychecks away from being in the street.
Oh, some people are already almost in the street. So
right.
because,
So listen, y'all.
if they're not already there. So.
And you can dig down deep and let all this fancy stuff go,
Right.
and look at what's important,
real.
what's important and what's real, and let's
it-
dig down and secure ourselves so we're prepared for things like this.
Right, exactly. And so interesting. I just wanted to something just make light of something that's funny. When we talk about being adaptable. Can we go to that so I can see, because I can't see mine. Is not. Think we have any more? Yeah. Okay. And so we almost on time too. So that being more adaptable. I was speaking to this woman, an elder, and she was saying how, well, we used to use toilet paper. We used to use a newspaper. She said, well, if it comes down to it, we just go back and use a newspaper, which says that because she was living in a time where they had outhouses.
Right.
And they were using newspapers.
You know what's funny? When I was a child, I used to, I used to visit when I was a baby, and they take a newspaper and kind of do this right here and get it soft and take care of business.
Well, we're going to have problems because a lot of us don't have newspapers anymore.
I'm just saying.
I hope they say some of them phone books.
I think that what you said
phone books,
is
that
you
paper's a little
have
softer.
to, right. What you said is you have to be creative,
right, and adaptable,
and maybe not newspaper, none of that,
right.
That was
that's why we're trying to tell you we're going with them phone books. I'm just joking, but I'm saying funny, but she was talking about that. But interestingly, she was saying that they had outhouses and they had these papers, but y'all. See, we're spoiled in this country. If you've been out of the country, you go visit other places in the world, a lot of people still live like that. They still are going to outhouses. They still don't have a lot of the modern conveniences that we have. A lot of places in the world don't have what we have, and we're very, very spoiled. And so
I tell you, it's so bad. Where even the homeless are more privileged than people in other countries.
What do you mean?
Which means at least they can go to a shelter. And they can go to food banks. They can still survive. They can get towels. They can get blankets. They get.
Well, I don't know. Being homeless in America might be harder than being because it's.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've been there. We've seen it.
It's just no matter how you look at it, we don't even want to compare. It's just hard. Everything. It's just hard for if you live in certain conditions.
Right.
Which
no matter what.
And some people over the world live in some really, really horrifying conditions compared to how we live. And so we're basically again things like I was feeling a little frantic about paper products, like toilet paper and paper towels. It's like, okay, just get some towels. You just have to rethink how you do things.
Yeah.
So it's those kinds of things. Yeah.
Get your toilet paper. Okay.
No, I'm saying towel. I'm not talking about
that. Get paper products.
Well, you got a bidet, so people are selling those like hotcakes now. Right? But anyway, so then we also I think we're learning to be more empathic and understanding and patient because some of us have had to take in the family members.
That's right.
Right, and so because particularly elders, I'm just really. Hard to know elders, might be living by themselves and not getting the care that they need because if they get sick and you can't go visit them, then you won't know. So I think those things we talked about last week. So we don't need to re-emphasize that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, remember, we're all my people. We're all in this together. And I'm gonna play a nice piece. Y'all just kind of marinate on this. But this is good for the moment. It's called "All My People."
This was going to be the end.
That's cool.
Let me stop in the middle and then let me come back in.
Okay.
One for my brother, one for myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is
for all my people, y'all. My brothers, my sisters, all of y'all.
I want all my people around me.
That's right.
Everybody living good. Everybody eating good. Everybody should. I want all my people around me. Everybody eating good. Everybody living good. The sun is shining. The air is clear. My folks are smiling. No need for fear. The kids are learning what they should learn. Finally, folks are earning.
And that's how we want to come out of this, you all.
All right.
That's how we want to come out of this. This is what we're striving for.
So what are we learning? Okay, so I was talking about the topic here is how to love, we're talking about loving from a distance. And so I think it's interesting that we live in a society where there's already a lot of distance, right? Because this culture, part of the value set in this culture has to do with individualism and self-love.
That's right.
And sometimes it can boil over to people being to narcissism, so to speak,
right.
because it's so selfishness and so individualistic.
Right.
Right. And then people also, depending on their experiences, a lot of times have problems with love anyway. So, they're distant. They don't know how to really engage and be close without feeling vulnerable. And so creates distance. And so,
it does.
yeah,
So with that being said, that's where your elders come in at. You really need to talk to your elders with that's grounded, that just has a good balance and has practiced a lifestyle that's worthy to give you advice. Not everybody is worthy to give advice, And then if you don't have anyone available to you, seek. There are many places to go to get brother advice, or sisterhood and sister advice. Again, go with those, or go to those who have experiences that is admirable to you, that you would like to take parts of whatever they do or however they do it, takeaways to help you in your journey.
But it's interesting because traditionally the elders were, particularly in traditional African societies, the elders were revered, because of their wisdom. And so in this culture, they don't have the same values now put on elders. We think getting old is bad. They make getting old something bad.
Getting old is grand.
Oh my God, is it? And so people don't value elders' wisdom, but we have a whole lot to offer in terms of...
And the reason why is because there's nothing new under the sun.
Right, exactly.
Okay? There's nothing new. And
right.
it may look different, but it's the same beginning, same middle, and the same end.
And then when you've lived longer, you see more outcomes.
That's right.
So
that's what I'm talking
that's
about.
The thing. So like, it's almost, the only way I can describe it in terms of a metaphor is like when we planted this tree, that you don't know what the tree is going to look like 15 years from now. Or 20 years from now. It's the kind of experience we have when we planted a tree that is really, really got really big, and we had no idea it was going to get that big. So when you live longer, you've had a lot more experiences, and you have a chance to see the outcomes.
That's
which
right.
is why you can look at something and see certain behaviors and already know what it's going to look like 20 years from now.
That's right.
Because you've experienced it, you've seen it, and you've lived
That's
it.
right.
And so those are the reason why it's important to pay attention to the wisdom. And some of them do,
Well, again, there's a divide. It's millennial divide and the elders. Millennials, you guys think you want to be fast and you think you're privileged and all that. You're not. We're all in this thing together. So seek wisdom from your elders.
Right. And I have Risha here, and Risha, and she says we must guide and show our children the right things to pay attention to, the right internet, what the internet is all about. Getting attention.
That's right.
Oh yeah, she's saying that's because that's what happens. That's what
the internet's getting all the attention.
Well, no, she's saying here. I think what she's saying, pay attention to with the internet is all about getting attention. So a lot of them are trying to get attention on the internet and on the social media and stuff like that.
Okay.
But they have to recognize the importance of using it for the tool. And the thing is being able to guide them on the right kind of information. That's the thing. It's so much stuff out here. It's coming at you all the time, and you don't know. Now you have to be able to discern what's valuable for you and what's not valuable, what's useful and what's not useful.
Okay.
So so much stuff that's coming, and so a lot of them are getting caught up on the stupid stuff.
That's right. So now,
Right.
by hearing what Dr. Rod just said, I love being on the panel with Dr. Rod because she's so wise and she's, she's a doctor of many things.
Right.
But listen, if you didn't know before what your child was looking on the internet at, I hope that you pay attention now.
Yeah.
Because it's not too late. You can fix or change the direction that they're going in because a child is always
Open.
open.
They're a sponge. They still can learn and absorb.
To change.
Right, exactly.
But change doesn't just come in one moment saying don't do or do. It comes over time.
Right. And see, the thing is, what has to happen, I think, because you realize parents are up against a lot. They have to just trying to hold down their jobs. They're trying to keep the family. They have a lot on their plate. But I think that I'm thinking that this experience that they're having now is that they're really getting to know their children.
That's right.
And so now you have to prioritize, and then you got to really guide them on terms of what's good and what's not good, which I'm sure a lot of parents do. But the problem is a lot of parents are on junk.
Well, that's
they're not discerning in themselves, and so
that's why it's time to have a seat, sit down amongst yourselves, and really have a conversation about who you are and where you're going, and how you would like that to look.
Right, and so
then if you can see it, then you can create it and develop it, because then you'll know what tools that you'll need to create and develop it.
Right, exactly. And so I think when we're talking about loving from a distance. And so again, we're saying the virus now is telling us we already have enough distance. We're already dealing with living in a culture where the value system is about individualism, things I just said. But I think it's interesting how now, because we're saying we have to be more socially distant, and, saying social distance, that seems like it potentially could put more distance between us, right? But interestingly, I think what's happening, right, is that although the virus is requiring us to be more socially distant, I think we're becoming closer.
I think we are too. You know why?
This is what's interesting about it.
Because there's no chatter. It's quiet now. The world is quiet. There's not all that in the middle chatter.
Yeah.
So sometimes when the chatter quiets down, or kind of the volume is down, you can hear and see better.
Right, because you have to go in and see. That's what.
Right.
That's when we talk about divine laws, right? When you talk about you talk about from a spiritual standpoint, it means going in. It's not out here. It's the answers to everything you need is within inside of you.
That's right.
Right, and if you go inside, and so now what the virus has done is it's brought us in. It's brought us in, and so that means now hopefully we can begin to go in and do more inner work in our families and with our children and in our communities.
Okay.
But anyway, let me just finish this. And so it's causing us to be closer, and I think it's very, very interesting. So it's forcing us to now reach out because based on what's going on with this now, I'm calling more family and friends. You're checking in on them, making sure they're okay and stuff like that. So and we did something I've never done before. We did a Zoom conversation with relatives all over the country.
Right.
And so it's actually forcing us to be closer. So I think that it's interesting how it's telling us to be more socially distant. And now we're putting more distance in front of
distance
in
to
between
the
us.
world, but we're coming more closer intimately,
interpersonally, right? Intimately, right? So
that's right.
I think it's very, very interesting. Right?
That's good.
Right. So I just wanted to end with this here. So I think with a crisis, you can respond in one or two ways. You could become more self-oriented. And more individualistic and more, because now it's really about survival, y'all. This is getting down to about survival.
That's right.
Right. And so, but the thing about it is, if you become that way, I mean, and say it gets to that, and you survive, and everybody else around you don't, right? Then what does it really mean? You see what I'm saying?
That's
So we could respond in one way. We could be more selfish and more self-oriented, or we could rise, right? We can rise to an expanded love. And so, even though this show focuses on interpersonal love and relationships, but I think what the virus is doing is it's forcing us, even with this show, it's forced us to look more critically and be conscious of the social conversation, or social consciousness in terms of some of the stuff that Marvin Gaye was singing about in the 70s. And so people are stepping up. I think we can step up, and we can extend and we have the capacity. That's right. Right, to have a higher love and a more expanded love, and to make sure and look out and make sure that we're all going to be able to survive this thing that we're facing.
Okay, it's very important to grasp the words that Dr. Ross said, because again, we have this time set aside that the universe, through portals, it came down to the word to say everybody needs to go inside.
Right, exactly.
Everybody go inside, and y'all look in the mirror at each other and do a reset.
Right.
Look at your children. Look at that mayhem. Clear that mayhem out. And I tell you something else too. In the next couple of weeks, keep the young men at home.
Keep them and keep the kids in the house.
Keep the 18, 25, 30-year-old men at home, because
you got to keep the 15-year-olds.
The 15, keep them at home, because the streets are clear, streets are empty.
Right.
And we look for opportunity. Mainly when you're broke, you look for opportunities. Keep them at home, because the penalties are going to be worse, because when you get brought into the system, the melting pot is behind the bars in the jail system. They're the last ones that the government's going to save. So if you get somebody that's involved in anarchy due to crime or mayhem, they're going to put them in jail.
Right.
And they go in jail, they're going to be caught up in the incubator of the coronavirus.
Right,
It's going to snub them out.
Right.
So I'm telling you, keep your kids, keep your boys, keep your daughters,
keep them in the
house.
Right. And
figure out a way, if there's a woman without a man to control this 6 foot, 18-year-old, strong, powerful brother, make a phone call to your father, your uncle, your brother, or somebody to talk sense into this boy's head. Keep this boy home.
Okay, I just need to say one more thing, right?
Sure.
Because of the y'all. Okay, we know the country went through something major in the 60s, right? We had they said, I think I looked it up. It was 720 riots across the country in the 60s. 700 between the 60s and the 70s, right?
That's right.
And so I know the government. What they're doing is they're trying to keep this thing cool.
That's right.
Right. That's why they learned that lesson back then.
Right. Keep everybody out the streets.
Right. You got it. Well, first of all, this can get so serious from the standpoint that they don't want it to get to that. So this is why they're sending those checks out. They're stopping payments on things and everything.
That's
things
right.
Like that.
Stopping rent. They got a rent freeze. They got mortgage freeze. They got
Right.
a utility freeze.
Right. In the
look
state
at-
of Georgia.
Well, it's nationwide. I read it up. It's nationwide. It's nationwide.
Okay.
So look into your government, your gov.org to your state,
Right.
city, state, and get the ordinance and make sure that you fill the paperwork out, fill whatever you need to fill out to make sure that you're covered.
Right.
In this time
Right,
that
right.
we are in need of these services.
Right.
Because if not, we're gonna
Right, so that's the thing. So
Yeah.
they're making sure that we keep this thing,
Keep it
keep the
cool.
top on.
That's right.
Because this could go
We have
way
seen
somewhere else.
this before.
Right.
Keep your sons at home because they will come out with militia and they will cut these boys to shreds.
Right.
I'm telling you, they're looking for an
Okay,
opportunity.
we gotta stop.
I'm just telling you,
Right.
keep these
boys
keep these
in the
boys
house
at home, man.
if you can, because
Keep
it's-
your boys at home.
right. So
All right, y'all. So listen, I'm glad you took the time out to spend some time with us. Our Friday Night Love, where we try to spread information through conversation. Corona-19 is real, so everybody stay in the house. Be safe. I'm Brotther Spear.
and I'm Dr. Heter, and grow in love.
All right, send it up. Let's do this. Send the love up, send the thanks up, send the praises up. Send the love, the likes up. Send them up.
What are we gonna do, all my people?
I'm glad you came in, spent some time with us, and got involved with Friday Night Love with our conversation on Corona-19. So this is the way of the world. You know what? Tomorrow is coming. Let's do a better job, y'all. Let's do a better job.
Hearts of fire.
How'd you do? Okay.
You good.
Sing a message loud and clear.
Yeah, Roxanne, great show. Thank you.
All right, my brother Leon. Hey, man, good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Thank you for joining.
Keep it coming, brother. Keep it coming.
Reverend Howard, thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining, y'all. Friday Night Love. Corona-19. Love
2019.
or 2019. Love from a distance.
Right.
Stay young and hard. We can do this. We can get through all of this.
Plant your flower.
Child is born with a heart of gold. A heart of gold. They will be all you're looking for, all you desire. They will make all your dreams come true. Raise that child well. Thanks for watching, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Oops, coughing.
Can't cough.
Right.